Hi, I'm Vivian from Mount San Antonio College, and today I will be going over how to draw electron dot structures. I will go over a few general rules and guidelines you can use to draw electron dot structures. The first thing you should always do is count the number of valence electrons. Next, in a molecule, the central atom should always have the lowest electronegativity. Next, electrons around the atom should always satisfy the noble gas configuration. And lastly, if any atom does not satisfy the noble gas configuration, begin to share electrons and form multiple bonds. I will now go over a few examples on how to draw electron dot structures. And for my first example, I will draw a carbonate ion, CO3 2-. And the first thing we should do is to count the number of valence electrons. And the best way to approach this is to list all of the atoms in the ion and determine the total number of electrons in the ion. So there is going to be a total of 22 valence electrons. But don't forget, in the total there's 2 extra electrons. So there's a total of 24 electrons in the ion. The next thing to do is to determine which atom is the central atom. And from these 4 atoms, the carbon atom is the least electronegative. So carbon will be our central atom. The next thing to do is to draw the remaining atoms around the central atom. We want to draw them around the central atom symmetrically. The next thing to do is to draw the valence electrons around the central atoms. So carbon has 4 valence electrons. Now we will draw the valence electrons for each oxygen atom. Next, we will add the 2 extra electrons onto the ion. The next thing to do is to determine if the noble gas configuration has been satisfied for each atom in the ion. So here we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 2, 4, 6, 8 around each of the oxygen atoms. But we only have 2, 4, 6 around the carbon atom. So the noble gas configuration hasn't been fully satisfied for this ion. So in order to satisfy it, we must move a pair of electrons from any of the oxygen atoms. So we can take this pair and move it right here. Once we have moved that pair, a double bond has now been formed. So now we have 2, 4, 6, 8 around the central atom. But before we are finished, we must check to make sure that we have a total of 24 electrons. So we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24. And last of all, we must remember to put the bracket around the ion to correctly represent it. And then we're finished.